Welcome everybody back to the channel. Today we're going to do a figure review, something that's already unboxed, but something that I'm adding to the collection that I've got from a good friend of mine who's reducing the size of his collection a little bit, but fortunately it was things that I needed, so it was nice to give them a good home instead of them just going to secondary market and to somebody who's just either going to resell them or something of that nature. So what we're reviewing today are 3 different figures from the DC Multiverse line. First one is going to be this Batman, the Batman Who Laughs, and Red Death. So all 3 of these figures I did not have in my collection just yet, so it was pretty nice to be able to get them loose already. You're able to get them for a little bit cheaper, but also at the same time, it cuts out the process of having to hunt them down, because especially for the Red Death, this one was only available in a 2-pack, and I already have the Flash, so buying another 2-pack to get just this one was not really high on my priority list, so it was very cool to be able to get this one just by itself, so I didn't have to hunt down and buy another 2-pack and have an extra Flash laying around. So first we'll go ahead and start this Batman. Now this one's really cool. Pretty big figure in terms of overall, size of the figure. Height-wise, it's pretty much just about on scale with everything else. But he's a very wide figure. The cape, it's rubber, so it's very flexible, but it's very big. I mean, just look at that. I mean, I really dig it. I think the design of the cape looking like that really makes the figure stand out a lot more. Get a little closer shot here. I love the yellow trim around the bat symbol, and of course on the utility belt. That's very cool. He does have 2 weapons for accessories. Both of them are axes, which I think is pretty nice. They are slightly different from one another, so it's not like you have matching axes. I always like it whenever there is a little bit of difference there. So that's very cool. They do fit into the hands pretty well, so you don't have to worry about them falling out or slipping out. So that's kind of a nice perk. Now, the hands, as you can see here, pretty wide open. So even if for some reason you find another weapon that may better suit him out of your collection from another figure, or maybe just if you have a bag of random accessories from things like I do, he's got a pretty good size hand opening there for if you said you want to use a gun or maybe a sword or some other kind of axe that you think would be better fitting for the figure. Definitely an option. I definitely like the mask, the sculpt on the face and the cowl. Very good. Really stands out. Love that little profile shot there. The flexibility and the posability on this is very good, like a lot of the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. The torso's got a lot of bend to it, so you can definitely adjust that. The legs definitely do the side to side. Now, they don't have the mid-thigh turn like some wrestling figures tend to do, but that's okay. I'm not really a massive fan of that part anyway, so as long as it's got the knees, it's got, the double joints to them, like that right there. Get a better shot of that. There we go. I'm okay with that, because having that double joint there tends to work pretty well. Then you've also got my favorite feature on the posability, the feet. Talked about this before. Do love how the toes on the shoes can be pushed like that. Definitely gives more posability in terms of for your display. If you want to have them crouching or kind of perched over, peeking, it makes it a lot easier to do that. There are holes in the feet in case you have the stands that come with it. Then you can at least put it on the stand. I will end up putting these on the stands. I do not have the cards, however, so that is a little bit of a downside, because all my other ones do have the cards with them, but at the same time, it's not going to hurt my feelings. And I'm sure if I do decide to get that OCD about it and get the cards for them, it probably won't be too difficult. I know some people that have the same figures that don't care about the cards, so getting them, I don't think will be necessarily a problem. The arms, also a lot of posability there. They turn there, that shoulder joint, so you can go in and out with them. Arms, a lot like the knees, have that double joint at the elbow there, so a lot more option. When you look at that, that arm completely reaches back and touches the bicep. That's awesome. I love that they're that flexible, so that's very cool. So this Batman is definitely going to be a great addition to the collection. I have several of the Batman from the DC Multiverse line, which tends to be a little bit of a, I guess, a complaint about the DC Multiverse line is that there's so many Batman, and I honestly can agree with that. There are too many Batman, but at the same time, as I had kind of discussed with another fellow collector yesterday, I don't believe the DC Multiverse line is a line designed to be a completionist. I feel like there's so much of it. There's so many variants, chases, 2-packs, things like that, that I think it's probably better to collect the Multiverse line in the sense of just if you see the figure and it really stands out to you and it looks awesome, then get it. Otherwise, I mean, there's some of them in this line that, I mean, I'm not a fan of personally. There's some of the Build-A-Figure pieces that the Build-A-Figure might be cool, but I otherwise don't care about the figures. You have to buy to get those. So I do not think that this is a set for completionist. However, they display great. They look amazing. I think McFarlane's doing an incredible job with these. Yeah, there's Marvel Legends, and that line's got some great figures too. Marvel Legends has been around a lot longer than the DC McFarlane line. If you combine the Toy Biz run along with the Hasbro run, Marvel Legends has been around for a little over a decade, and so they've got a lot of experience in that regard, and a pretty vast library of characters they can use. However, I mean, you could also say the same complaint about, Marvel Legends as you can say about the DC line. I mean, how many Wolverines do we need? How many Cyclops do we need? How many Spider-Man do we need? I mean, it's, you can't really have the same complaint about DC and not realize that same complaint can be applied to the Marvel Legends line. So collect what you want at the end of the day. If you love Marvel Legends, collect those. You like the DC stuff, collect those too. At the end of the day, enjoying your collection and your collecting being stress-free is what's most important. So by all means, do what makes you happy. If you see it and you fall in love with it, buy it. That's the point. If you see it and you go, I mean, it's cool, but I don't really need it. If you have to do that with it, you probably don't need it, because real estate is king when it comes to your collecting area, as you can see behind me. And sometimes space is limited, and sometimes you do have to either make cuts in your collection, or you have to just be a little more considerate of your purchase choices. So do keep that in mind. Completionist is a great thing to be, and I understand that with some aspects of collecting, but there's just some collections I don't believe being a completionist with is healthy, if I could really refer to it as that, because there's just so much of it. And besides spending a fortune and using up all of your, your space in your collection room for one particular set of figures, I mean, it really limits your options for how many different things you can collect, which, I mean, some people are fine with that. Some people are okay with having just wrestling or just Star Wars, and that's great. If that's your collecting, that's wonderful too. But I mean, I myself personally, I love to have a little bit of everything. When you get to my age and even older, you've been around a lot of different things as far as collecting is concerned. So there's a lot of different things that when you see them, they bring you joy, and it really sparks that emotion in you. So it's, for a lot of us, around my age, it's a lot easier to collect a little bit of everything rather than collecting a lot of one thing. So yes, this Batman, back on track. Sorry about that. Just got on a little bit of a rant there. But this Batman here, very cool. Love the accessories. Posability is great. Colors pop. It looks awesome. This Batman is going to go on my shelf, and it will actually join the Batman Who Laughs, which I'll be going over next. It also will be joining the shelf with the other Batman figures that I have, which currently would be the the Flashpoint Batman, which is probably still my favorite. I've also got the Death Metal Batman with the Bat Cycle, which is incredible, and I'll actually be doing an out-of-the-box review on that one here pretty soon, because I do think it's something that needs to be shown off and discussed out of package. So that one, look for a video for that one coming up pretty soon. I've also got the Dawnbreaker Batman, which I love just because of my attachment to Green Lantern, obviously. I've also got the Armored Batman, which looks great. I also feel like you can't really have that one without the Armored Superman, but that's another discussion for another time. So, I mean, I do have a few Batman already, so this will be just joining the collection. However, I do think that some of the other ones, like the animated series Batman and, the 37 different Earth variation Batmans, I'm probably not going to get, because I really don't need to have 30 Batman in my case. I like Batman, but I'm not that much of a Batman collector. So this will be great to add to the collection, but it'll definitely probably be one of the last ones I get for a while, just so I can fill in some spots of some other secondary characters. So now we're going to go ahead and move on over to the Batman Who Laughs. Now this is definitely a cool piece. I've always loved the aesthetic of the character from the comics. Very cool, very slender figure, but of course, you know, the character in the comics, it definitely matches up with that general design of the character. It's pretty cool. Go ahead and get a closer look at the face there. And of course, the little spiked eye covering right there on the cowl. I love the deco and the design, the attention to detail on the jacket here. Very cool. Frayed at the bottom looks very good. Now, this figure at first, when I saw it, I didn't know if it was going to have the flexibility of the others, because if you look at the leg joints here, it looks like it's just going to have the legs of like a WWE basic figure, where it doesn't do the splits around like that. It's literally just a back and forth motion. But this one, it still does the separation. Still has the posability there, so that's very cool. This one also has, of course, the foot feature for the posing. So good that they're sticking with that formula. Seems like pretty much on all the McFarlane figures, so I'm okay with it. It's got the little, I guess it's a little, you know, dagger and a sickle here, so that's very cool. You know, just little accessories, nothing too crazy. Sometimes the bigger accessories can really cause issues with displaying inside your detolf or your, you know, bookcase or however you store them. So I'm glad that the weapons are relatively small. They do fit in the hands very well, so not a lot of issues with them just sliding out or falling. Very good. Not a lot of, you know, color, you know, differential here to worry about, other than, you know, the white and the red up here. Otherwise, you know, black on silver. Pretty basic design color palette for this character. Otherwise, very cool piece. Now I'm probably going to have to get the Robin to go with it, which I had been passing up on for a while, but now that I have this, it only makes sense to go ahead and get him to put beside him in the display. So this one, very cool. Obviously not a lot of meat on the bones in terms of overall, I guess you would say, what you could do posability-wise, because it doesn't really have the torso that bends. So that is a little bit of a downer, because all the other ones, they do have that, you know, that midsection spot there where they can pose. This one, however, does not. And I don't believe this jacket comes off, which is fine. I mean, I really don't think there'd be anything exciting underneath it. So there we go. Batman Who Laughs. Very cool figure. Gonna be nice to add to the collection. Short and sweet. So let's go ahead and get on to our last piece, and this one's going to be Red Death. This figure is awesome. No way around it. 100% awesome. I love the Flash. You know, Batman's also a cook character, so kind of have this figure. That's obviously a, you know, a clear meshing of the characters in an alternate reality. Very awesome. I love the difference in the red shades from the bright to the dark. It definitely makes it pop. Now, the texture of it is definitely there too. These bright red parts are definitely more glossy, and when you rub your fingers across them, it's definitely smooth, and there's no texture to it at all. While the dark red parts, slight bit of texture there, so it feels like there's a tiny bit of grip, but looks great. I love the silver color for the bat symbol. Really pops out. This one has, of course, all the posability that you would expect from the majority of the multiverse figures. It does have the Toski. I'm going to ride this thing into the ground because, as I said, that's my favorite posability feature on these figures, especially on this Flash and also the other Flash. Is you could take them and you could put them almost in a, you know, huddled over, you know, perch stance. Like, you know, they're going to take off for a race or, you know, something like that, you know. Just bend them over and get ready to go. And, I mean, when you can, you know, pose them like that, it looks incredible on the stand. So I really dig that. It's going to look awesome next to the Flash. I wish it had maybe some kind of Speed Force effects on it. The Flash has lightning bolts you can attach to it, which really make it stand out. It looks awesome. I am a little confused with the hand on this one because it's just got the one regular hand, and it's got this other one that's just kind of, I don't know, jazz hands. Maybe he's like John Cena. And he's just like, you can't see me. I don't know. I'm reaching at this point, right? I mean, what else can you do? But yeah, figure, awesome, love it. Can't wait to add to the shelf. Highly recommend it. If you like Flash or if you like Batman, it's definitely a good conversation piece as well. Because somebody will look inside your display if you're showing it off, and they'll go, "Wow, what is that?" Because this one really stands out amongst the rest of them because it's very the colors pop. It's very toyetic. Really, really enjoy this piece. Happy I got to add it to my collection without having to buy the 2-pack. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and get these bad boys stood up, get them on their stands. I'm going to get them popped into the DTOF. Got a little bit of shifting around because I think I now may have to actually make just a dedicated Batman shelf because of the number of Batman I do actually have in DTOF shelves. Though they do hold quite a bit, you also don't want to just, I mean, I personally don't want to just hammer them down just full of figures. So there's all three of them. They stand on the stands pretty well. They're going to look great once I've got them inside the case. So guys, thank you again for joining. Remember to like, share, subscribe. And remember, feel free to comment if you want to see something else. Also, you can DM me directly if there's any particular item behind me you see that you would like to have more of an up-close view and maybe a review of. Or if you have any suggestions, I'll be more than happy to take any of those as well. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at CollectingRaj. And there you'll find pictures of other toys, cards, comic books, hero clicks, just things that I may not necessarily do videos on, but definitely find it cool enough to do some photos of and put up. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.